see us, you won't believe. We once were lovers, it's hard to see. Thought that true love could die without a sound.
Plenty of heartaches to go around. We are the losers, and we have lost. Time will tell how much it costs. Here comes the darkness, best friend we found. Plenty of heartaches to go around. Plenty of heartaches to go around.
So when I started with the Upper Missisquoi and Trout Rivers Wild and Scenic Study Committee as a part-time coordinator, I was not yet married, I didn't have a son, and I had a lot less gray hair. So what that tells you is when you're looking to have a collaborative effort that may require several acts of Congress, you better be in it for the long haul. And you want to be in it with people who are wonderful. If I had designed a committee, I would have built the committee around the people that actually ended up being on it. They're enthusiastic, they're passionate, they're knowledgeable, they're wonderful people that it was my great pleasure to work with over the last 6 years on the study committee. Without the outreach, level-headedness, and excitement to understand our river, and the dedication of my fellow presenter, Jake Kuchar, and also our upcoming speaker, John Little, our study committee of municipality-appointed volunteers and partner organizations, we just wouldn't have made it. We needed the enthusiasm of these people who went above and beyond to provide information and evaluate the potential benefits of wild and scenic designation. And not only did we make this management plan and decide what are community members interested in and package it all up in written documents, but then we went out to our towns and our communities and we talked about designation, and we took it to a town meeting vote. And not all organizations in the state can say, we went to town meeting and asked you whether you wanted to participate and you said yes, and therefore we took our designation article to Congress to be passed. As you know, our bill to amend the National Wild and Scenic Rivers Act to include over 46 miles of the Missisquoi River in Franklin and Orleans County and the entire main stem of the Trout River as Vermont's first 2 nationally designated wild and scenic rivers was signed into law by President Barack Obama on December 19th, 2014. But now the fun part begins. We get to form a new post-designation advisory committee that will use the management plan as a roadmap to provide regular and reliable forum for discussion, research, and consensus building around river matters, and to support projects to further good river management. We'll soon be looking for these projects, and we are currently looking for more people to come and join our committee. So if you're inspired by the celebration today, we ask you to talk to us and come join us. The community members that will be officially appointed will be from Berkshire, Enosburg Falls, Montgomery, North Troy, Richford, and Westfield. We'll also have partners from the town of Lowell and from organizations such as the National Park Service, the Missisquoi River Basin Association, the Northwest Regional Planning Commission, the Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets, and the Vermont Agency of Natural Resources. To tell you about his experience on the committee, I welcome businessman, farmer, father, advocate, and my friend, Jake Kuchar.
I almost said good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. This is indeed quite a fun day that we've looked forward to a long time. I'm going to be quite brief because Shana said quite a lot and most of you know what this is all about. I'll just very briefly speak about the role I played as a committee person for this. I happen to be the chair, but that doesn't make me any more important than the rest of the committee. When I first heard about this, I just got to tell you this little bit of a story. I'm a dairy farmer, and one evening, this guy over here with a beard came in the barn while I was, John Little, in case anybody wonders, I was milking, and he stops and starts talking and introduced himself, and he told me a little bit about his, ambition about wild and scenic and so on, and wondered if maybe, another hat I wear is I'm on a select board in Westfield, and wondered if the select board might be willing to listen to a presentation about this. And I said, yeah, it sounds kind of interesting, so I'll tell the other two and we'll put you on the agenda. So long story short, I don't remember what year that was. It's like 12, 13 years ago. I don't know. A while ago. Anyways, then the town folks approved, several of the communities approved the effort to go for a grant to do this study. Didn't think that would have a snowball's chance in hell, but it passed. And I said, whoa, this is interesting. And now I'm a dairy farmer on the Missisquoi River, and I'm thinking, I don't know, I think I better pay attention to this here. What's this coming up? What's the possibilities? So I got to admit that I came into this with some trepidation a little bit, but it was very short-lived. I've lived on the river all my life, learned to fish on the river as a young kid, and we saw the river at its best and at its worst. But we had a tremendous respect for the river. So, this is the background I brought to it. So then we started this committee. Many people, everybody who was on the committee had some story, some reason why they were so interested in being part of this. But like all committee work, sometimes it gets a little tough, but I got to say the committee always had their eye on the ball. And in committee work, you don't always agree with everything, but I think we all had enough respect for each other that it was a real pleasure. And that's about where I'll leave it. I just really want to thank the committee for all the work they put into it. Thank all the associated organizations that supported us in either just, in an advisory role. We wanted to be sure that people understood that this was a grassroots effort, not something that was thou shalt from above do. And that's why we were able to carry this ball. And that's why the communities voted in favor of this so strongly. So, again, thank you to everyone who had anything to do with this. Thank you for being here today on this beautiful day. And it's a little bit like some of you know that I almost didn't come today. We're haying right now, and I live like 45 minutes away from here. So at some point, I'm going to just escape because I promised my crew I'd be back there too. So anyways, thank you very much.
Now you see why he's our chair. He's wonderful. So please note there's a slight change in our program. Our Attorney General will appear a little bit later. It has been my pleasure to work with Jim McCartney of the National Park Service during these years of our study. Jim is the river manager of the Wild and Scenic Rivers program based out of Concord, New Hampshire, and is also the field rep for the Interagency Wild and Scenic Rivers Coordinating Council. Jim brings a breadth of knowledge of river management and restoration, in-depth understanding of the Partnership Wild and Scenic River program, a love of paddling, and a warm sense of humor to our committee. And he's here to talk about the National Park Service Centennial and the Wild and Scenic Rivers program.
So today is your day. Today we celebrate designation of the Missisquoi and Trout as National Wild and Scenic Rivers, the two first in Vermont and very worthy additions to the National Wild and Scenic River system. We also celebrate the hard work and dedication of over 24 study committee members who volunteered their time for more than 4 years to learn everything that they could about the rivers, prepare a management plan, and share with their fellow citizens what they learned about the remarkable resources that make the Missisquoi and Trout so special. Please give all those committee members a hand. Jake was rather humble, but I'd like to recognize him for his patient and inclusive leadership, as well as the valuable contributions of Vice Chair Todd Lantry, Secretary Mike Manahan, Treasurers Diane LaPlante, and Jane Chase. You've already heard about Shana. Shana Stewart Deeds was everywhere, all the time, on the radio, at town halls and festivals, on the phone, and in your inbox. She tirelessly conducted outreach and education, drafted the committee's vision into a management plan, and throughout the process coordinated the myriad moving parts of the study process. Let's give her a hand too. I also want to acknowledge the participation of countless citizens living in each of the riverfront communities leading up to and then participating in town meeting for their thoughtful consideration of the management plan and petition to Congress for wild and scenic designation. And of course, we can't thank enough the Vermont congressional delegation, Senators Leahy and Sanders, Congressman Welch, and their staff people for their efforts in drafting and then skillfully shepherding through Congress legislation designating the Missisquoi and Trout as national wild and scenic rivers. "2016 marks the centennial of the National Park Service and launches the second century of enjoyment of America's national parks and rivers through recreation, conservation, and historic preservation. And the great thing is, now you can discover one in your own backyard. The Missisquoi and Trout possess an amazing array of outstandingly remarkable natural and cultural resources. There are numerous swimming holes along the rivers, superb trout fishing opportunities, and easy access for quiet and quick water paddling, including a portion of the Northern Forest Canoe Trail. And if that weren't enough, there are several known Native American archaeological sites, as well as 6 active covered bridges, all built by the Jewett brothers, which add to the charm of the area and are listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So if you haven't already, get out and explore. There's some really great stuff. In closing, the National Park Service greatly appreciates the collective efforts of all those who brought us to this day of celebration. We are now eager to begin with the riverfront communities and the Wild and Scenic Committee, implementation of the management plan, and protection of these 2 incredible rivers. Thank you.